TSA Precheck and Global Entry. They're both types of airport security and customs programs that can get you through more quickly. But what they entail, how you qualify for them, and how much their application actually costs is slightly different. Here's what you need to know about TSA Precheck versus Global Entry to help you decide which is better for you. First, TSA Precheck is an expedited security clearance program from the US government. It means that you've gone through extra security clearance. And with it, it means that you remove a lot of the things that slow down the airport security process. When you have TSA Precheck, you can go through an expedited security lane, which means that not only are you not in the lane that everyone else is in, but you're in a lane where you don't have to do the annoying things like take off your shoes, take off your light jackets, take your laptop out of the bag. That moves faster, and it also reduces that awkwardness of fumbling around with all of your stuff. Let's talk about how to actually get TSA Precheck. You'll start by filling out an application online, which asks some personal identifying questions like where you live or what you do for work. From there, you'll have to schedule an in-person appointment. Again, they'll ask you some similar identifying questions, and they'll also take your fingerprints. To get this appointment, you'll have to pay an application fee of $85. Once approved and you have TSA Precheck, it's good for 5 years. That breaks down to $17 per year. Once you have it and you need to renew it, it costs $70 to renew. But you might actually be able to get these fees waived, and I'm gonna tell you how. Number one, use points and miles. Many travel loyalty rewards programs let you use your points and miles not just to cover the cost of travel, but to cover other things, which may include TSA Precheck. Number two, look to your affiliations. TSA Precheck is available for free to members of the U.S. Armed Forces, including members of the Coast Guard, Reserves, and National Guard. Number three, pay for it with a credit card that has a TSA Precheck application credit. There are a couple credit cards out there that offer TSA Precheck as a benefit and have a $0 annual fee. There are also a few credit cards out there that have annual fees that are only about $100. Now, that's basically the same as the TSA Precheck application fee anyway, and those cards also have other benefits. You can find articles about popular travel cards on NerdWallet.com, where you can also comparison shop with our tools to see how the perks of different cards compare against each other. Another thing you should note is that TSA Precheck is available in about 200 airports nationwide. Most airports have it, but there is a chance that yours might not. So definitely check and make sure that your home airport actually has TSA Precheck so you can get the maximum benefit of it. Certainly you could use it when returning home back to your airport, but if you can't use it for departing, then that's 50% of flights that you're probably not actually getting the full benefit from. I will be candid, if you travel even just a couple times a year, I definitely think that TSA Precheck is worth having. Now, there is the time that you have to account for. You have to actually apply online, but if it's a lazy Sunday, you're just, sitting at home on your computer like you are right now anyway, you might as well go ahead and apply for TSA Precheck. Now, there's also the in-person appointment component, and you do have to account for the time that goes into going to that in-person appointment, for driving there, for parking, for actually doing the appointment, and time is money. But I also consider that time is worth more sometimes versus others. If you're not doing anything on any given day, then you might as well actually do your TSA Precheck appointment. I'd rather spend the time then than say have a 5 a.m. flight and have to wake up even earlier, lose that sleep because I have to stand in the longer line. So I told you about TSA Precheck, but I also want to tell you about something else, Global Entry. I consider Global Entry to kind of be a TSA Precheck plus. With it, you can enter an expedited lane when you go through customs to return home from the US after an international trip. It's run by US Customs and Border Protection. You get all the benefits of TSA Precheck, but you also get this extra Global Entry benefit. So when you're returning in the US and you have to go in that long line, you've just come off of, say, a 12-hour flight, and now there's this extra line where they ask you where you've been and where you've traveled to. With Global Entry, you get to go in a faster line, and often it's just a booth, so you don't even have to talk to someone. You just simply go into that booth, swipe, sign, and you are off on your way. Now, I will tell you, there is nothing more annoying than getting off a 12-hour flight only to wait in a 30-minute, an hour-long line. With Global Entry, you remove that barrier. Now, I will say, Global Entry is annoying and tough to get, tougher than TSA Precheck. To qualify, you must have a valid passport to apply, but you don't necessarily have to be a US citizen. US lawful permanent residents, as well as citizens from a handful of other countries, are eligible for membership. The application fee is $100 versus TSA Precheck's $85. Most credit cards that offer a TSA Precheck statement credit also offer a global entry statement credit. Typically, you can only exercise one of the benefits to get a statement credit from your bank. Given that global entry encompasses the benefits of TSA Precheck and then some, I recommend just opting for global entry, assuming you travel internationally. But the application itself is more onerous. A big thing is it can be really, really difficult to actually get a global entry interview. When I did my global entry interview, I had to book it months in advance. Now, I will give you some tips. First off, while you typically do need to plan months in advance, so get global entry now if you're planning a trip this year or next year, sometimes you can have good luck. Sometimes I've found you check the website to book your application and you'll find that there's actually a spot available for tomorrow or for that day. If you can find a last minute appointment, book it. Another thing that I might recommend is actually checking various airports. Say you have a long layover scheduled at a certain airport, check that airport and see if they actually have interview availability. While my home airport of SFO never seems to have any availability, I've actually found that other airports do. If you can plan a layover there, maybe that makes sense. I actually had a good friend in San Francisco who flew to Las Vegas because they had tons of availability and she did her appointment there. It was cost to go to Las Vegas, but hey, she had a good excuse now to go on a vacation there. Now, another thing that you should note is that kids need their own global entry interview. Make sure that you actually bring your kids with you and get it done as well, and don't count on the fact that just because you have it, they'll be able to go through the line with you. It's definitely worth it because not having to stand in that customs line with your kids after a long trip is definitely winning. Which program is right for you? Well, the decision comes down to convenience at the airport. But given how tough it can be to land a global entry appointment, it's also okay to skip it if you don't have a passport or you rarely travel abroad anyway. In that case, TSA Precheck is probably the best choice for you. So you have TSA Precheck or global entry. Now what? Well, let me tell you, simply having it doesn't actually do anything for you at airports. You'll have to actually let your airline know that you have it. So when you go through the application and get approved, you'll get what's called a known traveler number. When you book your airfare, you'll have to input that known traveler number when you go ahead and book, along with your other personal information and your credit card information. If you don't have it at booking, you can always add it later, but I recommend just adding it right away. It's easy to do right there, you won't forget, and you won't have to mess around with finding where to enter that number again later on. Luckily, a lot of airlines make it easy and they'll actually store that known traveler number in your profile if you have a frequent flyer account. Now, once you've added that number to your airline, that's what indicates that you get that TSA Precheck number on your boarding pass. When you have that little TSA Precheck logo on your boarding pass, that's what allows you to actually get into the expedited line so you can go through the TSA Precheck line. I'm someone who always loses things, and if I put my phone in one pocket, take it out, and put it in another, I'm gonna forget where I actually put it. The great thing about the TSA Precheck is that it cuts down on time and cuts down on stress. I'm Sally French, a travel and loyalty rewards expert for NerdWallet. If you want to learn more about TSA Precheck and global entry, check out our website as we have tons and tons of articles on nerdwallet.com. And if you like this video, please make sure you like and subscribe.